Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be showing off some Minecraft tips and tricks to improve your building and just to add some special effects to your building and make it not look so plain. We're going to be going over 5 different things that you want to put into your builds to make sure they look a lot better, and I'll be showing off some examples, and yeah, we'll just go through all of them. So here we go. So on to the first thing. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you're new, make sure you hit the bell for post notifications just to be notified every time we upload stuff just like this. And yeah, stick through the whole thing and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we want to do when we build is to make sure we don't just use one block. We need to always have a block palette when we're doing this. So in this house right here, which I've built, it's quite a simple house. There's not really much aesthetic to it. For the most part, it's just one solid oak wood box with a simplistic roof and just some basic windows and a doorway. Nothing really special. So what we want to do is to make sure we have a block palette. So what I've created over here are 3 examples of block palettes you could possibly create. This one is a more bluish theme. The one above it is a more brown dirt theme, something you probably want to use for like the ground and pathways. And then this is a more stone based one in case you had a stone build. So for this one, we'd probably want to spice things up, change it up a bit, and make sure it is not just one block. And that brings us into the next thing that we want to do, which is gradients. So gradient, and what a gradient basically is this steady flow between colors. It's best shown in this stone one where there's the most smooth gradient from a more light block such as stone brick or a darker block such as stone brick. Did I say stone brick? It's smooth stone to stone brick, my bad. So go in here, it really doesn't matter what the block is because this is stone brick, this is wool, this is andesite. The block itself really doesn't matter. It's more about the texture and how the block looks. And in this case, these blocks make a pretty solid color change as you go through them. So with that being said, let's try to change this house so it has a slightly better block palette and so it just looks a bit better. Alright guys, so now I've taken the stone palette which we had identified right over here and I've put it into play over here. So I've used that stone palette and I've made a stone pathway coming right outside the house. And also, it gave doors a little upgrade. Those oak doors are kind of plain, they've been around a lot. These dark oak doors seem to fit the stone style that I got in the entrance. So I put that over there. Also upgraded the back door to a jungle door just to fit the flooring which I added here. Which also contrasts the stone pathway here because it is using the lighter side of the stone palette we created. So here we have a more stone based floor here, a lighter color using majority of smooth stone, also adding in some of the light gray wool because it's a pretty nice contrast, and if I really wanted to I could do this as well. I think that'd look good too. Now a little secret which we've got in here is the lighting. So if I were to break all these torches over here, get rid of these pesky torches because torches really don't look too good. They're kind of a distractor. And we set the time to night. Just like that. Somehow, it's still pretty dark it's still pretty bright in here. The pathway is bright, and the inside of the house is decently bright, although the surroundings are pretty dark. This is because this is an old trick, I've taken a carpet, put glowstone right underneath it. So underneath these carpets, there's some glowstone. So you could take this glowstone, put it here, put a carpet on top of it, fits right in with the surroundings, and it also lights up the area. Just a quick little tip right there. It really breaks up the area, and this not only works inside, it also works outside. So underneath these carpets, I've got some stuff. I've got some glowstone, and same thing applies to the grass, although we haven't really gotten there yet. The same concept works there, in which you could take green carpets just like that. You could put the glowstone down, put the carpet underneath, and it lights up. And it blends in pretty well. And that's going to bring us into our next topic, which is terraforming. Terraforming is incredibly important when making a build, and it's something which people tend to ignore and forget about a lot. So, some of the easiest ways to terraform is using bone meal. Although it may seem a bit basic, bone meal does add a huge effect to your builds, even just placing it around. And if there's certain flowers you don't like, let's say you don't like the yellow flowers, you could break them out. Just keep in the blue flowers or the red flowers. Then, if you really want some special flowers, you could pick any of these flowers and place them down. In your Minecraft survival world, you could find all of these flowers in-game in different biomes. I believe the tulips are in deserts, a bit more savannas. These orchids and dandelions and poppies are in the plains and so on. And another tip I would say is if you're building a house or a building like this and you don't want too much grass everywhere, I would say chop down the too tall grass. Keep it a bit short, just like this. That way, our build is looking a lot nicer. Another tip for terraforming, take some leaves, oak leaves, any types of leaves really. The two most common ones are oak and birch, so I'm going to use these two. And just maybe place a couple of them down here and there. It just adds a nice effect to your builds, gives them a bit more depth, and it adds more of a nature effect. So here already, we've kind of got a bit of a nature effect going on in the front, and all we've used is bone meal and leaves. And then now adding in that lighting, we really get in the full effect, making us a feasible survival build, and something pretty easy to get. Something easy to get and looks good. So from here, I'm going to terraform the rest of the house, and then we're going to move on to some of the walls and how to improve walls and the roof. Alright, so right now I'm in the Canary SMP. For those of you who follow the Twitch, this is an SMP server I've been playing on. If you're not following the Twitch, go follow twitch.tv/tmcgaming_. Quick shameless plug. So I came to the server just to show you guys some examples of terraforming and moving into the builds. So as you can see here, this is a lot of pathing done by myself and some other people on the server. So some things we've included are things I actually talked about earlier. So here is a similar block palette to the one I showed you before, although it is less complex and includes stuff like trapdoors and wood planks, and also has a different lighting system with more visible lighting. This path over here is a lot more of a dirt style, as it's kind of like the other one I showed you, except it has some wood in it and not as good of a lighting system, though obviously we're working on that. Some other things you guys can add for aesthetic are trees and etc. Obviously some really cool trees here, but I'm not going to show you how to build a tree. That's something we can do another time. And so yeah, adding rocks to your build as well adds a cool effect. Plants, etc. There's so many different ways you guys can terraform your build. I just showed off a more simple and easy way just to give your build a bit more of a natural effect rather than it being really plain. So I'm going to head back onto the test world, and we're going to keep messing around with our house there. And we're also going to talk about the walls, as you can see in the house behind me back there. And we're going to talk about the roof. Alright, so the last clip that I just finished recording got corrupted. So I'm just going to restate everything I had just said and show you guys some of the progress that I have now made. So right now we're going to start discussing walls and the roof. So now in the house, I have done some stuff to the walls. So over here in the front, there's a lot to take in because there's a lot of changes. I have added these long beams made out of oak logs or spruce logs. You can use any really type of log. All you really had to do was just take your wood and then just bring it straight up like this. And now when doing that, we see that there's a little issue here with this not flowing straight, this being sideways, this being straight. The way to solve that is to just add the beam to give the person looking at the build the visual that the log is going straight through like that. And this one is going straight up like that. Another quick tip to add some extra detail, extra attention to detail, add buttons to the end. Once again, depth is something we really want to emphasize in our builds, as it makes the build feel more alive and something more pleasurable to the eye. So that is that. Let's look at the front now. So the front, what I've done here is I took that gradient that we made and I took some blocks from the higher side of the spectrum. I took the oak, as the house is fully oak walls, and I took this stripped oak log right here, and I kind of kept it in here and there, just to add a bit of texture to the wall and make it look a bit nicer. And then in doing so, I took the windows and I moved them down a bit, and I added some design to the windows, you could call it. These are dark oak trapdoors. Flower pots on the edge right here also adds a bit of an effect. You put any type of flower in there. Bunch of flowers. I do not think you could put the big ones in. The bigger flowers, like the rose bushes and stuff, like these ones. But these flowers, these flowers should be able to go in pretty well. So yeah, let's head on to the back. Also, while we're here, I have not textured this wall, as you guys can see. Let's do that right now, just to show you how pretty easy it is. And just like that, we have done it. It was not too hard, right? Pretty fast. Now over here, we're at the back. As you can see what I've done here, pretty simplistic. I didn't want to make a whole giant back. So we've got an anvil here, kind of looking like a grill. For those of you guys who grill, make that too. Looks a bit nicer. I changed the exit, so instead of wood, it's a more stone base. I'm once again taking blocks only from the pallets that we're using. So for the outside, I took some of this that's polished andesite, and for the walls, I'm using the stone brick. Once again, sticking to the pallets, very important. And then for lighting, so if we set the time to night, you can see here, lighting is once again going pretty well. We've got some lanterns here, and then we've got this little rock, as we saw in the Canary SMP, and a lantern sitting on top. I also added a little campfire just for extra effect, and I didn't do it, but what you guys should do is definitely add some bone meal around here, because this area kind of looks a bit plain. And then chop down the 2 high, as I said before. So yeah, that's it for the walls. Now we're gonna take a look at one of the hardest parts of a build, the roof. So let's take a look at the roof. Alright, so I've added a couple more details here and there. I've finished all the walls for the most part. Not too detailed, but for the most part it should be good. A couple things I didn't mention before. Make sure you guys use glass panes. I don't want to see glass blocks. Panes add a lot more depth, because obviously there literally is more depth in this case. Rather than a visual enigma, you have literal depth in this case. Because all these types of blocks, this texturing, that's just for your eyes. This addition of glass panes instead of blocks makes the build literally have more depth. And so yeah, with that being said, let's move on. Another nature thing I wanted to mention is vines. Vines are a very useful block to add in your build, especially when there's empty spaces like this. Adding vines are great. They also add a bit of texture to the leaves on the ground. So just adding them around here and there, it can really add some effect to your build, especially in places like here where there isn't much color. Nature is always a good way to add some color to your builds. So moving on, let's go on to the roof. So the roof here, as you may have noticed, I did completely take out the roof. The old roof really wasn't fitting with me. So I decided we'll start from scratch and talk about some different roof designs. So from here, you could tell that if I try to add some stairs for a roof, no matter what type of stairs they are, it doesn't really matter. Because if I try to add a stair here, adding another stair here would get in the way of this block. So what we have to do right now is raise this whole thing by 1 block. Just to add a bit of height. Not just height, but to make the roof really stand out. So now what we're going to do is we are going to add on the roof. Now, you never want to add a roof color which is the same as the color you have currently. I'm going to bring in a couple of example blocks in right here. So here are 5 different types of stairs. First one being oak. Now this blends in very well with the walls. We already have a lot of oak, a little more than I may even like. So I think we stay away from oak. Oak is not a good option. Nextly being spruce. Now spruce is a good choice. It's a pretty good choice. With that being said, adding spruce may not look that bad. However, we do need a bit of texture even in the roof. Now let's test dark oak. Dark oak also looks pretty good. It might be a bit dark, but it looks good. And the nether block. I don't know about that one. Let's stay away from the nether block. Alright, so I did skip over the stone, and that is for a reason. And I will talk about that soon. Let's put that over here. But for now, let's talk about overhangs. So when we've got stairs in like this, you always need to make sure there is a little bit of an overhang. This overhang is so there is a bit of depth, and whenever we have stairs like this, never leave this open. Always fill it in just like that. There we go. And as you see here, this may look a bit odd. So what I'm thinking, let's take all of this and let's just move it up one more. Just so we can cover up this little thingy here. Let's move all of this oak one more. Okay, so I finished half the roof. I went a little overboard for where we were last. And I've actually brought back the spruce roof. Now, with that being said, I've only done half of it, and that's just to show you some things before I continue. So, first things first, instead of keeping flat with the wall, we always want to have a little bit of an overhang. And an overhang basically takes the roof and it shifts it out a couple blocks or a single block from the actual roof. So in this case, I have a 2-block overhang from the main wall. Reason I added a 2-block is because we have this pole, and I thought it looked a little bit better with a 2-block over a single block. And you can also overhang going down low. And in this case, I have a 1-block overhang as the roof is obviously right here, and we go down 1 layer. Another thing about the roof is to never just go up like a staircase. Just going up like that. You never want to do that. You always want to have stairs underneath the stairs just to add a bit more texture underneath, and so it's not looking kind of solid like that, because that does not look too clean. Another thing I did is remove the block here, as you may see on the other side. I removed that block, and I also added another oak plank right here to give the visual that this whole wall is flush right there. And same thing down in the front as the back. Now we come to the stone brick, and this is where things get interesting. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna replace this single edge right here completely with stone brick. And here's why. We want to add a bit of texturing to the roof as well, because when it comes to stairs, there isn't many options in Minecraft to texture stairs. Only way to texture stairs is using other stairs. When we texture the walls, we could use other blocks like stripped wood, not just planks, but here we can only use stairs. So when we texture with stairs, other stairs is the best way to make it work, and in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take this stone brick like this and bring it all the way around. Just like that. And now we're going to go up the other side, just like this, just to keep it a bit nicer and add a bit more color to the build too. I guess gray's not really a color, but it's to add a bit of contrast to the build and not make it too brown and woody, and add a bit more gray and change it up a bit. So we are almost done. We've got this much in, and now we're gonna go last one here, and then make sure we also do the same thing with the top. So just change these top ones just like this, and there we go. A lot more depth to that roof. It looks a lot nicer and cleaner. So I'm gonna replicate the same thing on the other side, and we're gonna come back to finish the roof. Alright guys, so I finished both sides of the roof, and I added a little extension over here so you guys can see right behind me. So this is a little extra thing you can add to your roof, just if your roof still feels a bit plain. I didn't really like that both sides had nothing on them, and I didn't really like the whole box shape, so I decided to add a little extension out here. It's a little difficult, but I'm showing it here on screen if you guys want to try it out. I'm not going to exactly show you how to do it, but here it is. It is a bit tough with the transition between the wood and the stone, but here you go. There is that. Both sides are done. I also added another window up here just to keep a bit of the space filled up. As you guys know, making sure color is present is one of the most important parts of making builds like this. So let's check out the inside, as I did add a little bit more in here. I added a full spruce roof, but this isn't any ordinary spruce block. This is actually spruce trapdoor. So although it may not be used as a trapdoor, the spruce trapdoor is a good block for a roof. A lot of blocks in Minecraft aren't really about the block itself. It's more about how you use it. So don't really look at a block and say, "Oh, ew, wool. Wool shouldn't be in a stone wall." Don't really look at Minecraft like that. Minecraft is all about the colors, just like we can see here. This build has a lot of blocks, which logically, based on what the block is, it shouldn't be there, but here it is. So this is the final product. And so yeah, we covered gradients, we covered making sure there's not one block, not just oak, and no flat walls, and then the roof. So with that being said, I hope you guys learned something from this video. And if you did learn something, make sure you drop a comment down below. Tell me something that you learned from the video. Tell me something that you would add yourself to the build, and maybe some other things. Now, obviously, everything we learned in this video is not, everything I've talked about in this video is not all that there is to do. There's so many different ways you can make your house as good. As you can see, as you guys see online, there are many people who do this way better than I do. Obviously, this build right here is a quick build that I made just for the sake of this video. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe if you want more content just like this one. This is the first one of these types of videos that I've made in a long time. And if you like these types of videos, make sure to drop a like just to let me know that you guys like it, and leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see next. My name is Jay, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.